Hello, I'm Scott Bulgy here with Mitch McKee ahead of his upcoming fight at LFA 193 against Ashton Canelia. How are you doing today?
Doing great, doing great. Got one more week until fight week, so just polishing everything up, getting my weight down a little bit, and yeah, feeling really good.
And how has the training camp been for this fight?
It's been really solid. I feel like I've gotten a lot of good work in. I've been healthy the whole time. I've um just really focused on myself and just getting better. I mean, it's been 5 months since my last fight, which in that time I've just kept training and trying to get better. My goal is always just to try to keep improving my game in every aspect. It's not really about other people or you know trying to. Obviously, I want to become like a UFC
Yeah.
champion, but you have to just focus on working every day and working every week and working every month and every year and um, eventually you'll get there. So that's kind of just what I've been doing. And yeah, it's been a great camp.
And you're at Killcliff, is that correct?
Yep.
And how has that been? Obviously, a lot of great fighters like Brendan Allen and that train there. How has been able to work with them?
Oh, it's been amazing. I mean, like you said, there's so many good guys at our gym to learn from, and not as many. You know what I mean, like top UFC guys around my weight, but we have a lot of
Yeah,
young, hungry guys around my weight. Like I think in our gym, we probably have the most 135 and one like of all the weights. I
yeah.
think we have probably between 35 and 45 and 55. We probably have the most people. Um, so it's just I have a lot of great partners that are young up and coming guys like me that are just hungry and working every day. And then you have the veterans like Gilbert Burns, Brennan Allen, that you can learn from and watch and this last year Robbie Lawler retired and he's been in the room every day coaching and helping and Nick Lentz is in there coaching every day. So it's just a lot of great people to learn from and a lot of guys with a lot of experience.
And have you been able to go in there and notice the differences between what they've been doing in their game and what you weren't doing beforehand?
Yeah, I mean it's just I came from wrestling, so it's
Yeah,
um a lot of stuff like on the wall and stuff like that. You kind of have to develop your game there because wrestling out in the open versus wrestling um MMA wrestling on the wall and stuff is a lot different. So just picking up those little things, picking up different jujitsu stuff and just kind of all around I've noticed it for sure. Just every single guy has something that I can pick their brain on and get something out of them and vice versa. Anytime anyone asks me anything about any wrestling positions or anything, that's what I love about our culture of our gym is everyone's there to help everyone and whether if you're in fight camp, the other guys are there to help you for your fight camp, and when you're out of fight camp, you're there to help the other guys when they're in fight camp. So it's kind of a great team aspect in that way.
and like you were saying, you do come from that wrestling background. How was it having their support? Because coming up to the fight nights and that, you just see them just promote your fights, getting that publicity out there.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, the wrestling community is finally, I think for a while there that they weren't paying attention to MMA too much, but now that you see guys like Bo Nickel going into that are high level wrestlers going into the UFC and just MMA in general, you're seeing wrestling people just pick up or follow MMA more and support it more. And there's just so many more guys, wrestling guys that are getting into the sport, which I think is great, because in wrestling, the only way you could really do anything was try to make after college was try to make a world or Olympic team. And now there's a way to still use your wrestling and make a good, if you can, eventually make a decent living. Um, so it's something you can make a career out of using your wrestling, and it's great to have the support.
And do you feel like this fight coming up is going to be your toughest test? He is the most experienced fighter you have fought. How does that play a part into this fight?
Yeah, I mean he's definitely tough and that has the most experience. But I go with guys every day in the room that are absolute hammers as well. So I'm used to having tough battles every day in the room. So I'm excited for it. Honestly, it's a matchup that I think is he wrestles a little bit, I wrestle, and I think it could end up just being a stand up affair. But I'm excited. One of my teammates has actually fought him before too, so yeah, I'm excited for the matchup, and it'll definitely be a test, but I think I'm ready for it.
And have you been trying to get as much knowledge as you can from your teammate, just try to see what he thought of him?
No, no, I have. I mean, I watched their fight when they
Yeah.
fought a couple years ago, but no, I haven't asked them too much. Just because I like to just focus on my game, and maybe a few things here and there I'll try to find myself watching a guy, but really, like I said before, I just focus on myself and improving my game, and going in there, ready to implement my game instead of worrying about what they're going to do.
And do you focus much on tape study? Like, how important is that to you?
Yeah, I do it a little bit, usually like early in camp.
Yeah.
I think if you're trying to do it too late in camp, then you're just overthinking things, and then you go in there kind of hesitant. So just early on, just kind of looking at things that where you might find yourself within the fight, and then you can use that to work on those positions throughout your fight camp, and then go into the fight. But yeah, it's just at the beginning of fight camp, or right when I know who my opponent is, I'll do a little bit, and then from there, it's just putting the work in.
And in your last fight, it was against Jose Hernandez. It was a decision victory. How did you feel that fight went? Was there anything that he did that surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, he threw a lot. He tried to throw some crazy stuff on the feet, like flying knees and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I just got to my wrestling, and when people do those crazy things, they kind of leave themselves exposed to get taken down. So I kind of just took what was there, but he was a lot tougher than I thought he was going to be. In the first round, I got on top and I was landing good ground and pound, and it seemed like within that round or the second round, I would be able to get him out of there. But he was tough and hard to finish. I don't think he had ever been finished, so it was, I guess, I was surprised that it ended in a decision, but like I said, he was a tough opponent. And yeah, just my last two have been decisions. Um, and all the ones before that were TKOs. So just trying to get back into get another finish this next fight. And but I don't worry about the finish. I just fight, and then if it comes, it comes. So
And you have been able to fight in a lot of big organizations. You've had, I think this is your sixth fight for LFA, and your only other fight was with Bellator. How has it been being able to know that you went from your university career into these big organizations?
it's good. I mean, I guess I didn't really, coming from wrestling and not knowing too much about the regional scene of fighting, you don't realize, what a big organization is for MMA. But yeah, LFA is definitely, as far as the regional scene in the United States, and they go, you know, outside of the United States too. But um, they're obviously the biggest one, and it's been great being able to be with them for most of my fights, and then obviously you said the one Bellator fight. It's good experience. I think I've been the main event the last two fights, um, and they're all back in my hometown. So it's like all my fights have been within 3 hours of my hometown. So it's been a lot of pressure, on some of those fights, especially when your main event going into your fifth and sixth fight. Um, so I feel like it's been good experience, having sold out arena for the LFA main event and going in there and with all the pressure and performing. So I think that is good experience and something I can keep building on.
And do you feel like with a win in this fight, that just cements your position you should be heading to the Contender Series or the UFC?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm just focusing on
Yeah.
getting myself just better every day, and that's what I've been kind of doing, and not worrying about when I get to the UFC, but making sure I'm ready when I get there. Um, I think sometimes people focus too much on just making it to the UFC, and then when they get there, you realize, or they realize, and when they lose a couple in a row when they get there, that they maybe weren't their skills weren't ready for the UFC yet. So I'm just worrying on sharpening my skills, and yeah, I think one or two more fights, I could definitely see myself being there.
And as long as you don't get any injuries in this fight, are you looking to fight again before the end of the year? I know that LFA do have some events coming up in the middle of October.
Yeah, I definitely want to fight again before the end of the year. I haven't been like I'm from Minnesota and I moved to Florida, so I haven't been back home for Christmas in like 3 years, I don't think. So it'd be nice to fight for sure before Christmas, if not, sometime in November after this fight, but October, November, early December, whatever, I'll be ready.
And I know you're saying you're not looking into the UFC. Is there anyone in there that you're wanting to fight, or will you just take that challenge when it comes up?
Oh, in the UFC? No, I mean, no one specific. I mean, I definitely watch all the bantamweight fights, all the matchups, and I kind of, just try to watch them and see what the skill levels are at each level within the UFC bantamweight division, and try to. I'm always watching them, trying to think like how I'd approach a fight if I was fighting this person or that person, and so yeah, I've done that, but like specific people, no, but I'm definitely excited to get there and fight some of these people that I've been watching for a while.
And how did you get into the sport? I know you said you started in that wrestling. How did that all come about?
Yeah, I wrestled at the University of Minnesota, and then Logan Storley, who is an interim or Bellator
Yeah.
welterweight champ, he wrestled at the University of Minnesota as well, but he graduated about 5 years before me. Um, so we both, or he called me after the Olympic trials in 2021, um, and asked if I wanted to try MMA. So I came down here for a couple weeks and tried it. And I've been hitting pads a little bit for the last like 6 months before that, but nothing crazy. And yeah, and I really liked it. And my wife and I moved down here like a couple months later in July of 2021, and that's how I kind of got into it. But it's been um it's been a good, just over 3 years being down here and training, and I feel like my striking's came a long way from absolutely nothing 3 years ago. So yeah, and it's just been a great journey. And if you want to get into it, I think you just have to um start training and find some management that can give you opportunities to get fights, and will get you smart fights. You know what I mean? You don't want to
Yeah,
just sign with a manager who's going to throw you to super hard fights right away, and then you're 0-4 before you know it or something like that. But I think just start training is the biggest thing.
exactly. And I know you're going to go out there, get that victory, and bigger things will come up after that. Thank you for coming onto the show. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll give you the final word. Anything else you're wanting to add, or anyone you're wanting to shout out?
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I mean, go watch my fight September 20th on LFA 193. And I'm sure you'll see me in the UFC soon.
I know we will. Thank you for coming on.
Yep.